I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Hey, this is crazy. You want me to hit you?
That's right.
What, like in the face?
Surprise me.
Oh, God. I'm the cunt you married. The only time you liked yourself was when you were trying to be someone this cunt might like.
I'm going to tell you a story, and if it entertains you, maybe you'll decide to help me research further. And if not, I'll do the washing up and you'll never see me again.
I was your only friend. Yet one friend.
Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 72, another special episode of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe. How are you?
I am very, very refreshed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've been out refreshing yourself last night?
I was... I didn't want to tell you before. I wanted to do it on the record to get your reaction. So this is going to be one hell of an episode.
Wow. I mean, this is very much your special. And you even wrote me, hey, you want to go out for a beer? Or you wrote in a group. I didn't know you found somebody, or did you just refresh yourself by yourself?
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
No. I found it was nice. I actually found someone outside of our friend group to go with.
Oh, okay.
But then
there's such a thing?
There is such a thing, yes. I didn't know that either, but turns out there was. But the second I got to the bar, I actually met two of our friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, it's going to be riveting for people who don't know them, but it's, I'm going to say the German names. It's Lena and Helene.
If I had to bet money on two names, I would have bet those two.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice, you know?
Nice.
Haven't seen them in a while.
I saw Lena very recently. She brought me some tea back from a trip, and I love it. But I haven't seen. How would you pronounce it?
Just go with the German name. Yeah.
Helena, in such a long time. Would love to see her again.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see her on Saturday, which is riveting information because this is all over the place. When this podcast airs, it's past, but whatever. You know, it was nice, but it turns out it was an interesting night. And I feel the repercussions of it today.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is my special because we're going to talk about David Andrew Leo Fincher.
Jesus Christ.
I opened up the Wikipedia page 5 seconds ago.
It's more preparation than I did.
Yeah. So. I mean, this dude is my favorite director of all time. You know this, and probably everyone who's listened to the podcast knows this. I have written papers on the dude and watched his films quite a bit and love almost all of them. And we're going to talk about the best things we've seen from him today. I'll let you do the regular pitch of the show and tell everyone how it works if you want to. If you can, yeah.
I mean, welcome to the special. We do this every 4 episodes. Here we talk about the best thing or movie. I thought we were going to do movies again because it's a director.
I mean,
are we going to do things or movies? Because I prepared for... I didn't prepare pretty much at all, to be honest, because like I mentioned, there was quite a bit of stress due to exams, but...
finish your thing and then we'll talk about this because this is interesting. This is going to be interesting.
So here we're gonna talk about the best thing that we've seen from a person's career. That could be a director or actor, actress, whatever, or even sometimes the best thing in a certain genre, like sci-fi, like we did recently. And we're gonna do this in the form of a top 10 list. We're gonna count down to the best thing that we've seen, and we're gonna compare our lists. And if I, for example, have something on my number 10 spot and Flo has it on his number 2 spot, we're gonna postpone the discussion for later. And with that being said, we sometimes do best things that we've seen.
Most of the time.
Yes, except for, the directors we last did it on didn't have things.
Right.
They just had movies, as far as I'm aware. And then we just did best sci-fi movies. Right.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it was just movies because he's done a few shows, but not a lot, right?
We can do movies if you want to. That would make it a lot easier, because I was wondering how I'm going to do this, because he directed, I think, 2 episodes of House of Cards and I think 7 episodes of Mindhunter.
7, really? So many?
I think so. So I was going to include Mindhunter, but if I think it would be easier for me to let's just do movies.
Yeah, I thought it would just be more interesting because it would be more of a ranking than choosing, because Fincher's only done 11 movies as far as I'm aware, with his most recent being Mank. Came out a couple of months ago. But I wasn't sure, because when I went through his IMDb filmography, there were so many things that he'd done, because on Letterboxd, they just show you the 11 movies that he's done, but on IMDb, I think he's got like over 90 directing credits, because he's done a lot of videos and
a lot of music videos,
yeah, stuff like that.
I mean, I would have to configure my list, because I do, as I said before, I put Mindhunter on there because I did think we would include them, but yeah, I'll have to do some shuffling around, but we can do that. That's easy.
We can also do shows. I mean, I can just push something off the list and squeeze it in there somewhere.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like we should include shows.
Yeah. Right. Then I'll just do a quick configuration, get ready for some scribbling that's going to be cut out by the Noise Gate program.
I mean, I say that I think we should include it. I was struggling with the idea too, because it's not like he directed every single episode of those shows. Right. And I don't want to just talk about the episodes that he directed, you know what I mean? But he did like produce them too, so I think we can talk about the show as a whole too.
Isn't he also a co-creator of Mindhunter?
I think of House of Cards too, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
House of Cards,
Bo Williman or something. I don't know, man. It's been such a long time too.
All right.
Well, he also did like Love, Death, and Robots, right?
Right, but I think he just produced it.
Yes. I mean, are we going to exclude that because he hasn't directed some? It's difficult, you know. We should have maybe talked about this beforehand.
Dude, that's the fun of the show, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What are we going to do? Do you want to do just movies?
I'm configuring my list. I'm going to put, spoilers, Mindhunter in there. I'm just going to figure out where. Yeah.
Okay.
Then we can also have a bit more honorable mentions, I guess.
Yeah. Let's do that. I don't think I'm going to put House of Cards on there, but simply because he only directed 2 episodes. And it feels like weird to say that I will put Mindhunter on there because he directed 7, but that's like 7 out of, I think, I don't know how many episodes there are in total, but not more than, definitely not more than 20. You know what I mean? And House of Cards has like, 50 episodes or more, so.
All right. Well, I put it in there. I'm not sure if I'm completely happy about it. It could be in 2 different spots. We'll talk about it later, I guess. But all right, I'm ready.
Okay.
Who's going to start? I think
it's you, actually.
Yeah, could be.
Have we talked about everything we needed to? Yeah, I mean, obviously.
I think so.
Yeah, David Andrew Leo Fincher. I brought that joke up. And yeah, I mean, do we need to talk about how we first... I think I have some stories to tell, but once we get to certain picks. So
I think you've got a few more stories, maybe fun facts, because like you said, you wrote some papers on the dude and some of his work. So I think you're going to be the expert here.
I don't think so, but we'll see. I mean, let's dive into it.
Right. So let's get right into it with my number 10 pick, the 10th best thing that I've seen from Mr. whatever his name is, Fincher.
I was going to say, did you forget the last name?
Is Panic Room.
Okay. See, this is going to be interesting because I think we're going to have a lot of different positions, but not like super far, not like with huge distances between the picks. Right. I have Panic Room higher.
Okay.
Not much, but a little bit. I think we should postpone the discussion a little bit.
Right. So what's your number 10?
So my 10 is The Game.
That just got knocked off my list. It would have been my number 10, but it just lost it.
I don't like that movie.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan either.
I do not like this movie, and this is the only pick on my list where I'm going to say that. Because, I mean, you said it, he did like in total, like if you exclude... Oh, no. Fuck, I forgot to make another joke. I wrote a great joke. I'm going to do it in a bit. Sure.
I'll
do it in a bit. I'll put it in smoothly. So, shit, I had a good one. So I rewatched The Game too. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time I saw it, it was my least favorite Fincher film. And I was confused because so many people actually like that movie.
Right, yeah.
And I thought maybe I was wrong, and I rewatched it, and in my opinion, it's still not. I think it's his worst movie, and I have excluded Alien 3.
Yeah, that's his worst movie.
I think Alien 3 is not even close to being his worst movie. I think it's even better than my number 9. I simply excluded it because he doesn't consider that movie to be his, and that's simply enough for me to not put it on the list. I want to respect him because the studio interfered so much that he doesn't even consider it to be his movie.
All right. I mean, I heard he didn't even like the game. He was kind of disappointed in it. And also, I think there were some producers interfering with his process. But I don't know. I think Alien 3, it's hard for me to believe that it's even better in your mind than your number 9, because Alien 3 is like the epitome of bad fucking sequels to me.
I think, see, I don't want to, I respect your opinion, but I think that sort of, you may be jumping on a certain train of people saying that,
No, I was ready to like it. I had very few expectations of this movie because I loved Alien 1, and it took me ages to finally see Aliens, sorry. And then pretty much afterwards, I watched Alien 3, and Alien 3 just shits all over Aliens. It just ruins the ending, made it all pointless.
Well, that is true.
Yeah,
but I think compared to the fourth one, it's a masterpiece.
The fourth one is a masterpiece in its own because it's so fucking stupid. Jesus Christ.
Resurrection is horrible.
Luc Besson, I don't know what the dude is doing.
No, that was not Luc Besson. No,
I'm sorry, who was it? Some other French guy.
We've had that discussion before.
Yeah.
I think it's Jean-Pierre. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
No, it's either Jean-Pierre Jeunet or Louis Leterrier. And I think it's Jeunet who did Amélie, and I think I'm maybe making the same mistake I did before.
Maybe. I think it was written by Josh Whedon, right?
Which one now?
The fourth one.
By Joss Whedon? Dude,
I think so.
I don't know.
Because they like really got in each other's faces because he wants to make a comedy and the other one wanted to do like a serious action movie, and it turned out into, I don't know, a fucking mess.
Yeah, I was right this time. Jean-Pierre Jeunet did Alien 4, and that's the same guy who wrote Amélie, or directed Amélie, I should say.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, Alien 3 isn't even on our list, so...
Yeah, but we've excluded it for very different reasons, because I actually like that movie more than Fincher does, I think.
Crazy. Sure, I mean, okay.
But let's talk about the game, sorry. I mean, Michael Douglas, Sean Penn, and we're not going to talk about the plot of every single movie on this list. Some of those movies are very well known, but I feel like the game might not be as known to a lot of people.
I mean, I just watched it yesterday for the very first time, and I had no idea what it was about.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's about, Michael Douglas plays this very unlikable, what is he? A banker?
Stockbroker, bank, something. Yeah.
Something like that. Works with money, gets a lot of money. Quite a lonely and, in my opinion, very unlikable dude. And his brother gives him a gift of like the game, where he has to apply at some sort of firm. What was it? CRS?
Yes, commercial recreational services, something like that.
Something like that. I don't know. Something like that. And he doesn't know when the game. He doesn't even know what the game is, and he doesn't know when the game will start. And it obviously plays a lot with your expectations, because you sort of you don't trust anything that's going on in the movie, basically, right? And I don't like the movie. I think it's a bunch of unlikable people doing a bunch of weird and, in my opinion, so unrealistic and dangerous and over-the-top things to a dude that I don't even care about. So I neither connect with the main guy, I don't feel for him, and I can't believe the acts that are going on around him. I mean, I won't go into spoilers, but definitely even towards the end, I'm like, so how the fuck was this planned? You know, like, what are you really tried to plan this down to the T, and then they did give themselves some outs if it didn't go according to plan. But still, it just seems so far-fetched and so even the very ending seems, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Is this movie now supposed to be is there a sequel where there's a rom-com coming? I don't know what's going on.
Ending is, I mean, it does kind of play with your expectations, and I did like what they kind of did towards the end, but then the very last scene was so stupid and unnecessary. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say on it. I mean, what did you think was going to happen, or you had no idea what it was about?
At first, I had no idea. I mean, I knew it was the game, something weird was going to happen. I thought it was more of a someone was actively playing with him, toying with him, maybe terrorizing him because, I don't know, some weird fucking guy, some serial killer or whatever is going to show up and make his life a living hell. I didn't know there was this whole actual game involved. And it kind of felt like at first like a darker take on Game Night, where there to what's real, what's not. Yeah, but like you just said, I didn't believe what they were doing. I was like, first of all, this is impossible to pull off. No fucking way. If you're gonna do this, every like bit they're doing to kind of confuse him would cost you, I don't know, $500,000.
Yeah.
And there were so many decisions by people that was like, okay, either they're acting as part of the game, or they're just really fucking unrealistic characters, because it made no fucking sense what they were doing. It felt very much like a 90s action film, which
it is.
Times I'm not a fan of, as to how over the top it is. And I did like the beginning with the whole clown thing. I finally know now where this iconic clown face comes from. But yeah, I don't know, it was weird. But interestingly enough, the guy who plays his dad, right?
Yeah.
I think he never actually talks. You just see him in flashbacks. Is the voice actor of Mario since like the 90s.
That's a great fun fact. See, you already have more fun facts than I do.
It's the only one I got.
Okay.
But yeah, disappointing.
Yeah, I agree. What's your 9?
My 9 is Mank.
That is not on my list.
Wow. Okay.
Is that a surprise?
I thought it would be at least your 9 or 10.
I mean, no.
Okay, sure. I mean,
it's just, it's. See, I'm gonna let you talk about it because it's on your list and not on mine. But I think it's a better movie than The Game.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I don't like The Game, but I do prefer being in the world of The Game rather than Mank. I still have no interest of revisiting Mank because I think The Game is so much more accessible and also rewatchable and just a genre that I can connect to more and that I enjoy more rather than a black and white study of the writer of Citizen Kane. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, yeah. I personally think I would rather rewatch Mank, only also because I still haven't seen Citizen Kane and I would love to revisit this movie after I've seen it, just to kind of compare notes, to kind of get all the inside jokes and cameos of real life people and stuff like that. And I think it's just a marvel of production, and I think just for that it's cool to look at. And I think it was a good movie. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't the most entertaining movie, to be honest, but it was some extremely well-performed scenes, especially by Gary Oldman. And I think it deserves a shout-out. And yeah, I love the attention to detail. I think we talked about this when we did an episode on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just the costumes, the sound design, the little things to make it feel like an actual movie
for sure
from the 40s. I think that's just fucking great. I think from a like objective point of view, it might be better than some of the other movies, just from the production value. But yeah, entertainment is also a big thing. So although I really like this movie, I think the movies coming up are just more easily digestible in a way.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it is written by David Fincher's father. And you can really see that it's not only a love letter to Hollywood back in the day, but also to his father. And it's beautiful that he was able to make that movie with Netflix's budget.
Yeah, I mean, it's a marvel of streaming and giving some of the directors free reign, because I think it's a risky movie to make, because I'm sure not a lot of people love that movie, especially people who are not like your favorite word, cinephiles, because it's not the most riveting topic.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, he obviously Fincher worked with Netflix a couple of times now with House of Cards and
House
and
Cards,
Love, Death and Robots, and now he did his first movie with Netflix, Mank, and he's going to do more and more, which is great news for me because we won't have to, or I won't have to wait so many years for his next movie because he's already in pre-production for The Killer with Michael Fassbender. So I mean, that's going to be so much. I think so much more my kind of movie than Mank is, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to that very, very much, as you can imagine.
I bet. So what's your number 9?
My 9 is a movie that I haven't seen since I saw it the first and only time, and it's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah, that's my number 8, and
Perfect.
I rewatched this for the special. And I think I hadn't watched it, I think, since the first time that I saw it. I don't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think of it?
Well, you'll be able to talk way more about it than me.
I'm sure.
I just this was when I was starting to get really into Fincher movies, and I saw a lot of his other work before that, and I always heard that Benjamin Button was sort of not his most revered work because it is very slow, and just I think it's 3 hours, right?
It's like 240 something
like that. Okay. And I watched it, and I thought it was a good movie. It did not blow me away as much as the other picks that we're going to get to, but I think it's I have the word Marvel in my head now because you mentioned it now, but I think in terms of like visual effects, when you think of this movie was made in, I think 2000, it came out in 2008 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it must have been made like 2007. It's incredible. And I mean, Fincher and his work with digital cameras has always been, you always associate that with his work. If you read into his, I mean, with all of his takes and stuff, he just prefers shooting digitally because he doesn't have to burn film. But just with the whole effect side of it too, what he and his team are able to achieve with the digital film, and that's certainly one of them too. I mean, obviously it's a lot of practical effects too, and I'm sure
it's a lot of makeup, which apparently took hours to apply.
I would think.
For me, that would be like a fucking horror show to just sit in a chair for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours, laying still just so you can apply layers and layers of makeup. Especially like on sets, those lights must be fucking bright and hot. Underneath all that, you must be dying.
Yeah. No, for sure. But I mean, in terms of like the whole movie, I must admit I did not get around to rewatching this, so I'm very loose on the plot. But I just for the visual effects of it too, and I think Pitt is a wonderful performance. And I mean, for people who I think people know, but this is sort of a story about a guy who ages backwards.
Yeah. I think it's a well-known plot just because of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting and it's an intriguing concept. But I don't know. How was it rewatching it? Did you like it more the second time?
I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I remembered liking it, but I think it's still a fun movie. It's way more lighthearted than his other movies, especially the ones coming up.
It's a dark motherfucker, that guy.
And it feels a bit more fantastic. It kind of reminded me of Hugo at times, especially with like that whole plot element of that clock that's talked about in the beginning that kind of runs backwards.
Yeah.
Which of course fits in thematically. But it's very lighthearted, but it's got its darker moments as well. But the cast and is also quite different. You got like Tilda Swinton in there in a role that's very unlike a Fincher film. It felt more like a sweet moment that her character is having with Brad Pitt. It's more aligned with, I don't know, Wes Anderson movies even. But yeah, there's some moments that I remembered very vividly, and the rest of the story was a bit foggy for me after all this time. But especially the one scene with the car and like going through the different things that could have happened. I don't want to spoil anything. I think you might know which one I'm talking about.
Dude, I have to be honest, I have no idea.
Okay. Well, it's a wonderful moment later on in the movie, and yeah, I think the performances are good. I think it's very sweet. It's maybe a bit too... I always forget the fucking word. Touchy-feely? No, it's a bit too... Cheesy, thank you. I always forget cheesy for some reason.
Well, you were vegan for a while.
It's a good joke.
I wrote that down. I was waiting for the cue.
I completely forgot that also Mahershala Ali is in this in a time where I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. I mean, and he was in House of Cards too. I mean, yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
I completely forgot about this. In the
Was it
earlier
Remy?
seasons or later?
I couldn't pinpoint the season now, but he has got a prevalent part.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think I only watched 2 or 3 seasons.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a good movie. It's not like his others. Maybe I just hoped for something else, maybe a bit darker.
Sure.
But it's a fantastical, a very sweet love story. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Kate Blanchett is in this too, right?
right, as the kind of love interest of his, and that he's chasing. And there's a bit of a creepy dynamic because when they meet, they're both children. Because
Well, of course, yeah,
he
yeah.
is an old man and they kind of fall in love with each other, or at least he does.
Yeah.
At that young age, which is weird, but then again, he's just a child.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
And-
interesting concept of the whole thing, right?
Yeah, sure. And yeah, like I said, the fucking makeup when they show him as a kid, but as an older man, of course, he looks like a very small old man. And how they did this at that time?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is
Very good.
amazing. It is amazing. And the last person I remember is also Taraji P. Henson as Queenie, the one who takes him in when he's like
Yeah,
I don't know when she takes him in, but
as a baby.
as a baby.
His father kind of abandons him because he's so shocked by his looks.
Right. That makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry, where was she also in?
Taraji P. Henson. Dude,
Mhm.
I know her from her early TV work, and I forgot what the show was called now. I was bonding with a friend of mine over the show in school. Oh, what
Grey's
was that?
Anatomy?
With Jim. No. I'm sure she was in that too. What was that? I have to look this up. Give me 1 second. I know how
Yeah,
to.
sure.
It is called. There's also the guy from Lost in there, and Jim Caviezel.
Sure.
God, where is it? Hold on just a second, because I haven't thought of this show in years. Person of Interest.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, she was in that. I remember seeing, because this came out after Benjamin Button, but I saw it
Mhm.
first, and then I was like, oh, there's the detective from Person of Interest.
Okay.
And she's done a
No
lot
idea.
of things since. She was in Hidden Figures too, and
Right. That's where I know her from.
yeah. And recently in Empire, I haven't seen it, but I know that
Yeah, me neither.
a lot of people like that. But yeah,
Right.
I unfortunately I can't really speak more on Benjamin Button. It's just I haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it in so long.
It feels very much like a fairy tale. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
But I think they're just better Fincher movies. And I gotta say, I still very much like this movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's still my number 8.
Yeah.
And also very much like Mank. But there are just so many good movies coming up that I couldn't put it higher.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it would have been my number 7 if something else didn't
right.
squeeze in there.
So now it's my 8, right? Because we just did
Yep.
your 8.
Right.
So my 8 is Madonna, Bad Girl. See, that was the joke I was trying to do with the number 10 spot. It's just,
Mhm.
I have no idea. Dude. I was literally going through his IMDb of like what kind of music video could I list? I haven't seen it.
I
just
gotta
looked
watch
it up
the-
on YouTube. It's
the
actually with
video.
Christopher Walken.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is he doing in there?
I haven't, dude. Before we started recording, I just typed it on YouTube and I just skipped through the first 20 seconds because I wanted to make a joke about it, but I fucked it up. So my 8 is Mindhunter.
I think we can talk about it. Because I'm so unsure of the position. I think it's could be my number 7 or my number 6. But let's just talk about it now.
Yeah, I mean, Fincher works a lot with, or like he does a lot of murder mysteries. I think we can say that, and
Yeah.
it just seemed like a perfect fit for him to be at the helm of a crime show that is sort of really just about catching serial killers. And what's interesting about Mindhunter, obviously it stars as the main 2 guys. It's Jonathan Groff and Holt McNeely. Looking it
I don't
up
know.
as I speak. I have no idea. Holt McCallany.
Okay.
And I did not know that Jonathan Groff was from Hamilton, because when I saw Mindhunter for the first time, I hadn't seen Hamilton before.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like funny looking back that, I mean, they're quite different roles, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Because, I mean, I wasn't aware of Hamilton like much before I saw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very different role, and it's a very cool take on the whole crime genre. And it's so cool because there's this weird, very fucked up interest people have, me including, in serial killers at times, or just bizarre, violent stories. And they just do such a good job of showing you like the psyche of people, and it's so jarring, and it's like one of those things you don't want to see, but you can't look away.
Right.
And they done it so well, just to show you the most perverse things people can talk about and take pleasure from. When you would see it in real life, you would fucking run. But since they've done it so well, you can't look away. And when you kind of compare it to the real interviews with serial killers, because there's some online, they've done a great job, especially the actor portraying, I forgot his name in the show.
From the first season?
The actor's name
no,
as
he's
well.
in both seasons, right?
I think he's in both, yeah. The very tall guy with the mustache.
Yeah, I was going to say the very same thing. His name is, in the show, it's Kemper.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the actor's
Kemper,
name is Edmund Kemper.
Mm-hmm. Edmund.
And his name in real life is Cameron Britton. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
He's so good.
He's
like
so
the best
good.
part of the show. I mean, don't get me wrong, the rest is also fantastic, but that's like one of the best killer portrayals that I've seen ever.
Oh, he's so chilling, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're going to get to Zodiac in a bit, I can say that, but it's just like, those are very, very similar things, wouldn't you say? Mindhunter and Zodiac?
Yeah, a bit different perspective, I guess, but especially like from the tone, it's quite
you think so?
Similar.
It's similar. I thought you were going to say it's different. Yeah. I agree. But I mean, just, so I don't know. I always think of the two things when I think of the one, it's Mindhunter and Zodiac. I mean, the two Fincher, like really like investigation crime dramas. And they always have, or they both have just great villains at the helm.
Yeah.
Or at the center of it, I should say.
The thing is, he isn't even, it's like the villain. He's like cooperating with the police.
He's like Hannibal Lecter. Well, he's kind of a villain, isn't
he? Yeah, sure. But also like the dynamic of him knowing he's a fucking monster, but the more he gets to know him, the more he forgets about it.
Yeah.
And then he just talks about fucking atrocious things. And
some of those things burn into my mind. Yeah.
What happened? Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I also very much like the mixture of it, because it's a good comparison to Silence of the Lambs, because he also then uses some of his knowledge to assist some police detectives in their investigation. So sometimes he just interviews them. Then there are like 1 or 2 episodes where he's out in the field solving crimes.
Yeah,
and of course, real story, which makes it even more interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have to say, I also just love the two main actors. I think especially Bill Tench or Holt McCallany. I think he's just got such a calming presence and voice. Mm-hmm. I just believe every word he says. I think he's a good actor. He's a very underappreciated actor. We talked about him before because he was also in Greenland, if you remember. He was the helicopter pilot or the plane pilot at the end.
Yeah.
And he's got a little part in Fight Club, I think it was.
Yeah.
But he's not like that well known, and I think Mindhunter, or certainly to me, introduced him to me as a great actor.
Yeah, I also very much like the psychologist they're working with.
Yeah, that's the second season though, right?
I think she also appears in the first, and I think she, of course, because because I don't want to say how the first season ends, but she's there definitely, yeah.
But is she from the very beginning of the show? Is it from episode 1?
1 or 2, I think.
Know, man.
I gotta rewatch it. But the sad thing is, there's probably not gonna be a 3rd season.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like
Fincher said he doesn't have the time.
I don't think it was just Fincher, was he? I think Netflix canceled the show, right?
No, I think they want to do another. I think it was quite popular. I think Fincher said he very much likes the show and he would like to maybe continue it at another time, but he just wants to focus on his movies for now.
I'll take your word for it. I did not know that, but
that's what I read. Could be bullshit. I don't know.
But if you like a good crime, I think people have seen Mindhunter. It's all over Netflix too.
Yeah.
Good, very good crime, murder, serial killer show.
Yeah, definitely. Love it.
So it's now, what is it now? Your 7?
Yeah, it's my 7. which I don't know, it could have been Mindhunter. I'm gonna put my 7 now down as The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
That is higher for me.
Yeah, of course it is. Great fucking
Is
movie.
that of course? See, you saying great fucking movie at number 7, so that means you must be a fan too.
I mean, there are so many other great things coming up.
Yeah. So my 7 was your, I think, 10, which was Panic Room.
Right. So why is it above, for example, Mindhunter?
It's always difficult to compare the two. I'm always like, I don't want to say it's necessarily better than Mindhunter, but I think I started rewatching this. I have not finished it by any means. I just sort of watched the first 30 minutes. I like this movie, man, and I like the tone of it. Once it just, you start off, they're shopping for a new home, they buy the home, and then there's an invasion. It's like so straightforward and simple, and just in a great location. But which, by the way, Jodie Foster and her daughter in the film, Kristen Stewart, they buy the biggest fucking house for 2 people. What are you doing? Why do you need 4 floors for 2 bedrooms? What are you doing?
That's fucking... I think about this so many times when I watch movies or TV shows. Always when they buy new apartments or whatever, they're fucking huge. And they're in New York as well.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I'm sure it's also for the plot, because otherwise it wouldn't work as well.
Of course it is.
But at times I think people just don't know what normal homes are anymore.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I have a huge guilty pleasure movie, which is Flight Plan, which is the Jodie Foster film with her and her daughter in the plane where the daughter goes missing and while they're in midair.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
I haven't seen it, but I just know some of the scenes.
Yeah, I love it. But
yeah.
Panic Room is sort of an adjacent movie to that, in my opinion. For me, certainly in my mind, I think of Flight Plane, I think of Panic Room. It's those Jodie Foster and her daughter crime, in a very secluded and a very contained location, thrillers. And obviously, I mean, nothing against Robert Schwenke, who directed Flight Plan. But I think Panic Room is a much better made film than Flight Plan.
I'm sure.
And I mean, you can see that it's dated, just also from the visual effects. I don't know if you've seen this movie recently, but
a couple of years ago, yeah.
There's this not opening shot, but once you see the intruders for the first time, there's this long tracking shot, which I think is either completely digital or just, I mean, it's got so many blatant effects that really don't look good anymore.
Walls, right?
Right. Going through walls and going through like a coffee pot through the handle. It looked cool, I'm sure, back in the day. I feel like it's very dated now, it's just me. I don't think Fincher would release the film with those effects now.
Sure, but that's how you learn. That's how
it's 20 years
those
old.
Things evolve. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, as I said before, I think it looked great when it came out. But I mean, you got Forrest Whitaker in there as sort of the one intruder with a conscience.
Yeah, kind of.
Jared Leto, yeah.
I forgot that Jared Leto is in this.
Yeah, he's the main intruder, I would say.
Right, a bit of a psycho, right? As far as I remember, in real life.
Always,
not in a movie. But Forrest Whitaker, I think he's kind of the reason that I watched this, because I don't know, sometimes I have like an obsession with an actor, and then I just want to watch pretty much everything that person has done, and then I watch like 5 to 10 movies, and then I give up.
Right.
Because like my focus goes to somebody else. And I had this also with Forrest Whitaker. And I love the dude. Great actor. And that's why also I think watched Panic Room.
Yeah.
Because I think I think I saw it once before on TV a long time ago. And then I rewatched it a couple of years ago. And yeah, he's good. And also, of course, Kristen Stewart. She was quite young, but I think Twilight kind of tarnished her reputation for a lot of people. But you should still give her a shot, because she is an amazing actress, I think.
100%.
She's done so many cool things. When you take Twilight out, I mean, sure, it's one bad thing, but that when she was young, and also, of course, Into the Wild and Cafe Society and a Personal Shoplifter. Personal Shopper.
Personal Shoplifter.
Personal Shopper, sorry.
Yeah.
All was supposed to be, I didn't see Personal Shopper, but her performance is supposed to be great, yeah.
Yeah, it's a haunting movie, that. It scared the shit out of me, that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And I mean, as you said, I mean, that's way before her fame, Panic Room.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
yeah,
And she's
already great.
done a
now.
couple of things when she was quite young, right? She
I think so,
started
yeah.
quite early.
Yeah, I mean, she can't be much older than when was she born? 1990. So this came out
Oh,
in
really?
2002. So she must have been 11 when they made it.
She was born in 1990.
Yeah,
Okay. I
like
would've
Bo
thought she was
Burnham.
maybe a bit younger. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Also, I think Emma Watson, or maybe it's 91.
I don't know, but
I
Bo.
think
The reason I bring
know.
up Bo Burnham again is because Forrest Whitaker's character in Panic Room, according to IMDb, which I'm staring at right now, is actually Burnham. So
Oh.
if that's not a full circle, I don't know what is. What is your number 6?
Would have been Mindhunter.
Oh, that was Mindhunter. Okay,
Yeah.
so now it's my 6.
Sorry, and your 7 was...
Panic Room.
Right. Yeah.
Were
Of
we
course,
done with Panic
yeah.
Room? Did I cut you off? I
No,
think I did.
of
Okay.
course, we're done. Yeah.
So I think this is going to be much higher for you, but
Mhm.
I mean, we're now entering the Olympus of movies. Is that the
Sure.
Olymp? The Olymp? Is that English? Zodiac is 6 for me.
It's a bit higher, yeah.
Okay.
My number 5 is 7.
Yeah, that's higher for me.
Sure, yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten to one movie yet for you. So my 5
We'll get to it.
is much higher for you again, and I'm sorry if this is confusing, but it'll all make sense
Yeah.
in a bit. My 5, I think, is your 1 is Fight Club.
Yeah, it's higher.
Okay. I think we might have something in common now.
No, because I know where this is going to
Oh,
rank.
shit.
My number 4
This is going to be higher.
The Social Network.
So my 4 is Gone Girl.
Well, let's stop playing this game. It's higher, but we can talk about it.
So it must be your 2 then by that logic.
It's my 2, yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you sacrificing yourself to talk about this now. But please, you do it if it's higher for you.
No, I think you're right. It's gonna get confusing otherwise.
I
Yeah,
mean, people
Gone
are
Girl-
used to this by now, I would hope.
Sure.
I think it's good that we do it this way because otherwise I think it's okay that we do it this way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but yeah, Gone Girl, I thought this might be your 2 or 3 because I know you love this as well. And for me, it's one of the best thrillers out there. And I know I borrowed this movie to my brother some time ago, and he just kept coming back to me. Do you have something like Gone Girl? Because that movie is fucking so... I know you don't know what to expect from it, and that's why it's great. It's about a woman who goes missing, a wife, and the husband reports her missing, and after a time, doubts kind of creep up, and things are found like, is she really missing, or did he kill her? And then the kind of media jumping on it and distorting the image, and you don't know what's real anymore, what really happened. And I had no idea what to expect of it. I think you should definitely avoid anything on the internet because the ending is so fucking good. It's one of the best thrillers, like I said, and it's got Ben Affleck as the husband and Rosamund Pike as the wife. And I mean, my favorite performance by Rosamund Pike and probably Ben Affleck.
Yeah, that's hard to argue, especially with Pike. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you mean the ending, like literally the ending, or are you more talking about sort of halfway through a certain reveal?
Both.
Okay. Because the very ending is, I think, pretty, I don't want to say polarizing, but I can see people being frustrated with the ending, maybe. You know what I mean? The very end?
Sure, but I think that's what's kind of makes it cool. It's not necessarily what you want to happen or what you expect to happen, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned this before, but this is the movie that tipped my love for movies over the edge. And I saw this in theaters when it came out right around my birthday in 2014, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hooked from that point on. Not only in Fincher movies, but in movies in general. And I could not believe how much I enjoyed that movie. And it sort of triggered what happened from there on out. And I mean, it's just great. It's just great. And what would you compare the movie to? Because if you said your brother asked you for something similar, there are a lot of the whole story is not like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's not reinventing the wheel, the story.
No, but it's got some very unique elements to it.
Yeah.
And I think I rewatched the trailer just before we started because it's one of the movies that I hadn't seen in the longest time.
Right.
Is that what I wanted to say? Anyway,
I
but
think so.
yeah, just from the trailer. First of all, good trailer. Doesn't give anything away, even though it seems like it does. I think just from the investigation point and some of the scenes, it kind of reminded me of Prisoner, just of how tense it is and you don't know what's going on and people just get so frustrated with it. And I think of a good Where's the Person movie, I would compare to maybe Prisoners. As if you like thrillers, but I think there are other movies that have some other elements that would be. I think just in the case of you don't know who did it, a person is missing. Is the person dead or alive? Who's responsible? I think Prisoners is also just a great movie in that kind of genre, but of course it's way different because Prisoners is more about the investigation, and Gone Girl is more about the person being accused, and you don't know. It's more personal in a way, yeah.
Right.
What would you compare it to?
I don't know. I'm struggling to come up with. I think it's interesting because as I said before, I don't think it's necessarily doing that many new things, but then it's also like so unique. I don't know what it is. It's just it's just an excellent movie in its genre. I don't know. It's obviously it's based on a book by I think it's pronounced Gillian Flynn, who's known for sort of writing a lot of these good like mystery thrillers. And I mean, I can only go from the movie, but Fincher certainly did a great job of sort of making a movie out of that one. And I think the screenplay is also written by Gillian Flynn, which I'm sure helped a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it because apparently, like the wife is apparently based on somebody.
Okay.
I don't want to say who. I don't want to say why. But yeah, if you know that, kind of look it up afterwards, and it's just interesting.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but it was. I mean, the one fun actor who's in it. That sounded wrong, but I mean, to have Barney Stinson himself in it as that's a very despicable human being. It was
that
weird.
Kind of threw me off, to be honest, because Barney Stinson. Well, Neil Patrick Harris, but the thing is, everybody just says Barney because he is just that role, and he's not a bad actor. He's actually quite good.
Yeah,
if you see him in something more serious, more of a drama, but in that movie he tries to act so incredibly over serious. And if you in 2014, what was kind of his peak of
How I Met Your Mother,
How I Met Your Mother, and if you go from that to that, it's so hard to concentrate when you see him.
Yeah,
I mean, even wears a suit.
Yeah.
Give that man a baseball cap or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gone Girl. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. It's amazing, and it's also quite a long movie, but it just flows by, and it's got great performances at the core of it, and a great director at the helm of it. And I mean, it's just the story will take you for a spin, for a ride, and it's a great story. And you got Kim Dickens as the police detective, and also I think the other police detective is. I always mix him up. I think it's the guy from from Almost Famous, right?
Is it?
I
saw him in a trailer. I keep forgetting his name, and he's like an actor you've seen so many things, but he's so hard to place. He's also in The Goldfinch. That's the guy who restores tables. I think he's the detective, or maybe he's a news guy. I forgot. I just saw him very briefly in the trailer.
See, I said the wrong thing because I always mix him up. I think I mix up Edward Furlong, who is John Connor in T2 and American History X. But this guy is called Patrick. It's Fugit, so I always want to say Fugit. And this guy, that's the guy from Almost Famous. But I don't see him on IMDb that he was in The Goldfinch.
Sorry. No, I think I talked about another person because I think I also watched another trailer today, and I think he's in that. I think I mixed up the trailers.
Gotcha.
But also Tyler Perry.
I know.
Right? As the
lawyer.
Publicist, or?
No, he's the lawyer, isn't he?
Is he? I think...
he's the guy who defends Affleck, no?
Right. I think it's been such a long time in the trailer. He just gives him some pointers on what to say in an interview. So I thought he's just there to train
Yeah.
him, give him some
Yeah,
media
yeah.
training. Right, yeah.
I remember that scene very well.
Yeah. So that's your 4. Sorry,
That is
3.
That's my 4.
4, yeah. So
Your
it's my
2,
3.
right? So it's now your 3.
Yeah.
Correct.
So we're gonna go back, I think, to your 6.
If this is not confusing, yeah.
My number 3 is Zodiac.
That is correct.
Which is once again an investigation story. It's about the true story of people trying to find the Zodiac killer, one of the most well-known and prolific serial killers of the mid to late 20th century. I think like 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Was this time?
Yeah, I think so.
Which is a big story, and the cool thing is how it unfolds. It's not investigated by the police in the story, of course, as well. You see it from their perspective, as Mark Ruffalo's character, the detective, tries to find him, but also from the point of view of Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who is a cartoonist for a newspaper,
Right.
and just gets very personally interested in the case and tries to follow up leads. And you got some great performances, including by the great John Carroll Lynch. Shout out.
We've met him.
We did.
Oh, he was
Kinda.
in. Yeah. We were in the same
We
room.
met him. He didn't meet us.
He was at a screening. To
right.
clear it up. Yeah.
But I mean, also Robert Downey Jr., who is a guy that I've seen in so few movies in a serious role. I have yet to see Chaplin, and other than that, I saw him in Natural Born Killers. But apart from that, I mainly know him from Marvel.
Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Bang Bang, of course.
His best movie.
But yeah, I mean, Zodiac is a movie that I watched the first time and I liked, and then was kind of thrown off by the ending. And
Yeah.
then I rewatched it, I think, for the Gyllenhaal special, and then I also ranked it quite high because it's fucking amazing. I think if you have the right expectations, it's better. But what did you think of it? I mean, it's still your 6, and it's a Fincher list, or 6 is still pretty fucking high.
Yeah. I mean, we as you said before, we talked about this on the Gyllenhaal special.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're completely right. If you know how this movie is going to end,
Mm-hmm.
I actually think you would enjoy it more.
Yeah,
And I don't think, I mean, if someone would have told me the ending beforehand, I would have been angry because I don't like sort of these sort of things to be revealed. But in retrospect now, in hindsight, I feel like it's actually like enhancing the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta know some parts, but not too much. So it's
Right.
kind of hard to tell you that without spoiling you, and hard to tell you what to look up and what not to look up.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a sucker for investigation crime dramas. I always throw up. I always throw in so many, words to describe these movies: serial
Right.
killer, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's with like Mindhunter, and it's so many. What we talk about as well? With that, we're gonna get to this too with another movie, but he makes it so engaging. I don't know how he does it, Fincher, but it's just, this is another one that's like 2 hours and 40 or maybe even longer. I think it's sort of around
it's
that
pretty
time.
long, yeah.
And it just works again, even though it's not a lot happens in the movie. It's just like scene after scene, and you're so tense the whole way through, and especially that scene in the basement in California.
That's my favorite scene.
I know it is, yeah.
It's so good.
It is so good, man. And just, because the guy that Gyllenhaal plays, Robert Graysmith, he wrote the book which the movie is based on. So he's a real life character too. And just the guy who no one really values his opinion, but he doesn't give up in solving the riddles and sort of trying to investigate who this guy actually is. And then he ends up finding him or not. But, it's his determination, and together with Ruffalo's character, that it's remarkable to think that that's a real story. And that the movie just, I mean, the whole like killing scenes and flashbacks, they're all terrifying. And if you compare them to an action movie, worse things happen in action movies. People get shot all the time. But if Fincher does it, and you have this scene of like, and I think you talked about this too, he tried to replicate the original crime scenes to a T. So it helps to engage the audience in the scene. And the one scene where he actually, like the Zodiac killer, you never see his face, but he just shows the couple the gun or whatever on the beach or on the lake.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying, man. It's remarkably done.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best serial killer movies, and I'm just wondering right now, which why I'm kind of thrown off. Did he actually make an appearance in Mindhunter? Because it's kind of set in the same era. Did they ever talk about Zodiac?
I think they mentioned him. Yes, I do believe they mentioned him, but he didn't make an appearance or anything.
Interesting. Yeah,
I think if I remember correctly. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this probably a bunch more.
We did.
The Gyllenhaal, especially on a stronger focus on Gyllenhaal's character.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing movie. Definitely worth seeking out. And
yes.
Yeah,
and if you look into the behind the scenes, so many shots are actually like digitally done, even of the backgrounds, where you would have no idea if you didn't look it up. So. Right. If you watch the movie, if you have seen it, or if you're planning on watching it, do yourself a favor and look it up on YouTube afterwards, or the behind the scenes and making of. Do that with every Fincher movie and figure out what a lunatic this guy is, because we've talked about this before, the amount of takes he demands and the amount of frustration he gets out of his actors, because he is there and his philosophy is, we're going to do this as many times as we need to for every single actor in the shot to be at their A level, at the top of their game. And you could, I mean, for me as an outsider, I have no idea about these things, but I would think as an actor that is horrendously frustrating, because certain directors do 2 takes and you're done. I think Clint Eastwood is one of those. You do 2 takes and you're done, because sort of, I've heard people talk about that the best take is always the first take. Fincher certainly doesn't feel that way. So yeah, he's worth, like, check out the behind the scenes and everything. It's a mad genius at work, that guy. Or right. A mad genius. He is a mad genius, I should say.
And sorry, also because you talked about the music, the song "Hurdy-Gurdy Man" is used a lot, especially in like connection with the Zodiac killer in that movie. After that movie ends, you won't look at the song the same, and you have just this feeling of, I don't know, being something is not right. You know, you just feel so uncomfortable afterwards, which I know isn't a raving review for somebody who just wants to have a nice night out watching a movie, but yeah, it stays with you, which is why it's so good. So what's your number 3?
So my 3, and this surprised me too, but I had to be honest, because I have rewatched this many times over the past couple of years, and by that logic, that's just the way it is one of my, for me, it's one of the most rewatchable Fincher movies. It is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
I adore that movie, and it's a fucking sham that we haven't gotten sequels to that movie. I mean, it wasn't successful. That's why. But Fincher was planning on remaking the entire trilogy, but he only got to do the first one. And I love that movie. I was surprised at this. What position was it on your list?
6, 7.
6, 7?
It would have been my number 6 with The Game, and then I put Mindhunter before Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. But it's so hard to rate. I would both put him at my number 6. It's so difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've mentioned this before, and it always sounds douchey and pretentious, but just the tone of that movie, I love it. I'm a big fan of Scandinavian countries. I'm a big fan of detained crime dramas that take place in a small community. And if you don't know The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, it's basically, I mean, what I love is that they just completely give a shit about the accent. It's just like English people in Scandinavia. So I don't even know. You know, it's hilarious to me. It's just because there's Daniel Craig as Michael Blomkvist, the most Scandinavian name, but they speak without an accent.
Which is the best way to go. The same thing is what I love about Death of Stalin. They don't do fucking Russian accents, which just seems off, you know? Because if they would speak in their own language, they wouldn't have an accent. So why would you if you kind of translate it into another language?
I'm now actually, I'm not sure now. Do they have an accent in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Is it do they fake an Scandinavian English accent?
I don't think so.
I don't know now.
I'm pretty sure they don't, especially like, not Sutherland, Christopher Plummer doesn't do one, I'm very sure. And he plays a Scandinavian dude. And
but Rooney Mara definitely does. As Lisbeth Salander. She definitely has an accent. So I'm now tracking back on my statement. I don't know if Craig has an accent.
I mean, it's been at least a year, I think, since I last saw it. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, look it up and realize how wrong I am about just about everything I say. But I think I think Rooney Mara has an accent and Craig doesn't.
Let me look it up.
Okay, let's do that. Let's prove me wrong on air. But I'll talk about the movie then. So it's Christopher Plummer's character. He is looking for I believe it is his granddaughter that has gone missing years and years and years ago. And he hires Daniel Craig's character, Michael Blomkvist, who is a reporter who's currently in trouble because he has issues with some guy he wrote a nasty paper about. And he offers him the job, pays him a lot of money, and he gets to stay sort of outside of Stockholm where the shit's hitting the fan with the trial that he faces, Daniel Craig's character. And he's hired to find Harriet, or to figure out what happened to his granddaughter, Christopher Plummer's character's granddaughter. And he gets to work together with Rooney Mara's character, the titular character, the girl with the dragon tattoo, Lisbeth Salander. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. And of course, they develop a relationship. And it's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just read, consequently, all the actors speak English with Swedish accents, all except Craig, who maintains his usual British tone.
I'm proud of myself. Give me props. That's what I said, right?
Yeah. Apparently he said, I know Swedes who speak English impeccably with no accent.
Right.
Which is why Dave and I were saying it's completely reasonable for Blomkvist to speak English with no accent.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah. What do you think about the movie? The one thing I don't like is the ending. The very ending. I don't know if you remember that.
I didn't love the ending the first time that I saw it. And I thought the movie was okay, but I think I'd expected something else. But then, like I said, I rewatched it about a year ago and I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. Also because I completely forgot about the ending and like the explanation of who did what.
Right, I'm not even talking about that. I think it's just after that whole scene, the reveal and what follows, there's this whole like 20-minute epilogue of them like, I don't want to spoil it now, but it just feels like another story tacked on to the whole movie.
Yeah, but I don't think it's bad, especially since they didn't do a sequel. I think it kind of gives you a bit more closure than as if they had just finished it like that and never done another Go of the Dragon Tattoo or whatever the sequels are called. So in that part, I think it's not bad. I didn't dislike the ending. Let's say it like that. And there's some scenes in there that I still remember so vividly because they're so disturbing.
Oh, dude. We're talking about the same one, or we're thinking about the same one.
I think everybody
amazing.
does. I think, if you think about that movie, you think about that scene, and it just gives you chills. It's, I don't know.
It's
hard not to spoil.
It is. But I think, I'm trying to stay vague here, but the dude who plays the bad guy in that scene, I have the utmost respect for the actor. I think that must be so fucking humiliating and terrifying to portray such a character.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not easy. I mean, it's also must be very uncomfortable for Rooney Mara to
obviously
do that. I mean, I think for everybody involved, I think it's just
of course
disgusting
that goes without
in
saying.
That scene, yeah.
I just feel
I think we kind of I'm spoiling it a bit by
no, but I think it's fine. But obviously, you're absolutely right. But I just feel like I don't think the guy gets the credit too. You know what I mean? Because I think the scene works because he plays him very well.
No, of course, yeah.
And I think it's just, I mean, I would never want to even play such a character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same. I also think about this so many times when I watch like World War II movies and a person plays a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it must be so weird.
But that's like, there's so many of those by now. That feels like, okay, now he has done a Nazi film.
I mean, it's always different. I mean, if you play a Nazi who in, I don't know, Inglourious Basterds, not as bad as if you play a Nazi in The Boy with the Striped Pajamas or The Pianist.
Yeah. You're right.
But yeah.
And what I haven't talked about yet is music. I mean, the opening scene alone is one of the great opening scenes in movies. But the score is also, we're going to get to another movie where that's the case, but it's done by
Atticus Ross.
Yes, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. And it's just it's perfect. It is perfect. It's as always. I always point out their scores because it's one of the few. They're some of the few composers where the score actually stands out to me, and that's the case with this one as well.
And I procrastinated once again a bit because I've still got to learn, and but I learned a bit, and I was like, it doesn't really. I don't really have time. We're gonna record in an hour, so fuck it. Why learn for an hour? Just, I don't know, watch YouTube videos, because that makes way more sense, of course. And I watched a couple of videos. First of all, one about a hacker rates, I don't know how many scenes from movies,
right?
Hacking scenes. One of them was from Go of the Dragon 2, and yeah, it's well made. It's apparently pretty realistic, and I think it just also comes across as that because, of course, she plays a hacker.
Yeah, and
you could have done it in such a ridiculous way, and like, I gotta break through the firewall and just fucking tap like you're fucking insane. But it did in such a realistic and sober way.
Yeah,
it's more of a German expression.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's well done, and I gotta say, I didn't recognize her. I knew she was in the movie. I knew that's who she is, but it still, I don't recognize her when I see her in this movie.
Right. But was this not the first movie of hers that you saw?
No, I mean, when I rewatched it also, but...
okay.
I don't know if it's the first movie that I saw her in. Maybe. I mean, it's one of her earlier big roles, I guess.
Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah, probably. It's probably my first...
yeah. Dude,
Rooney
she's
Mara
so
movie.
good. She's so good. I love this movie. I'm a twisted fuck for loving such a dark movie, but it's something about sort of Craig's character. He's at this little remote cabin where he gets to stay, which always works for me as a setting for a movie. I don't know why, but it's just like him figuring out this huge mystery and doing investigative journalism, and then together with Rooney Mara's character. I don't know, man. For some reason, the more I watch it, the more I love it. Over the past couple, I rewatched it like a year and a half ago, and then I did the same thing like 6 months ago. I don't know why. I just felt like I just want to watch this again and again and again.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna enjoy Gone Girl, Prisoners, Zodiac, anything that's like a dark investigative thing, I think you're gonna love Go of the Dragon Tattoo as well. I still gotta watch the Swedish originals.
Yeah,
Supposed to be great. Yeah,
yes,
I love her. I will love her. I think she's great. She's good.
What's your 2? Right?
My 2, yeah, it's Gone Girl. We talked about this, so it's your number 2.
So my 2 is 7.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, a movie that we talked about at that time on the Brad Pitt special, because I think it was actually my 1.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend too much time on this again. But what was that on your list? Sorry.
On my Brad Pitt list.
No, on this one.
On this, my number 5.
Okay. Wow, that's low.
I mean, I always write down all the movies in no particular order, and then I put numbers next to the names. So, and then when I'm unsure, it's like 2/3, and then I do that next to another movie, and then I choose between the two. And at first, I had next to 7 at like 2/3, I think. And I was like, okay, it's going to be pretty high. And then I thought about the other movies, and then I also looked up what I rated them, and I have such good memories of 7. But when I watch it, I'm like, this is fucking great, but it's not perfect. I mean, no movie is, but I think I rather rewatch, for example, Zodiac or Gone Girl than I would 7, because I think the premise is so cool and so unique.
Yeah.
But I think once I saw it once or twice, I'm good.
I think this is close to perfect.
Yeah.
And what makes it is, I mean, Kevin Spacey, you can say what you want about him.
I mean, should we talk about him at all?
Yes, we should.
Okay.
We should. I think it's a shame this guy doesn't act anymore. And I understand why he doesn't act anymore. And I'm not defending him in any way. But I can say, I think he's one of the greatest actors, and I think it's a shame that he's not acting anymore. But I understand why. I know what you're going to say.
No, I mean, that as well, that's a whole new discussion. But I mean, should we tell people that he's in this?
Yes, we should. I just said Kevin Spacey's in this. That's all I said. I knew this before. I think that's common knowledge too. I mean, and he's great in the movie.
Sure, but people say that, and then I mean, I know that feeling. I mean, there's so many movies out there, you can't watch all of them.
I think we talked about this on the Pit special too.
Did we?
I think so.
We didn't. Maybe. I mean, it's our first special. It's been now over a year. I don't remember.
Well, I don't think this is an issue. I don't think it is.
Okay.
It's a 25-year-old movie, or even more
well,
than
I
that.
haven't seen, I don't know, Gone with the Wind, and the movie's 80 years old.
Is Kevin Spacey in that?
I hope not.
No, I'm just saying he's great in the movie. Obviously, Pitt and Freeman are sort of the main actors in it. But the whole story, it's written by Andrew Kevin Walker about the 7 deadly sins, a serial killer that goes about sort of killing people, not with, but how would you say, like
using the themes of the 7 deadly sins.
Right. And the way the story concludes is genius.
The ending is
genius.
Yeah, it's a fucking classic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what makes the movie, and that's what makes it close to perfect, I feel like. You got great performances, you got a great director, obviously, but the story, in certain movies, the story itself is the star, and I feel like that's the case with 7. I think it's just genius. Obviously, it helps that you got great people making the movie, but the story is just, it's amazing, and I don't want to give it away now, but I mean, just some of the killings in it too. The fucking, what is it, Lust? Fuck me. That guy, I read too that he was like, he had huge trouble playing his part because of, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I just remember that he was struggling so much to play this character that fits right in with the character we just talked about, but on Girl the Dragon Tattoo. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's close to perfect. I don't know, man.
It's just a fucking good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my number 5. It's still a fucking good movie that I would recommend to anybody, and I love it. I don't know if I like the others more. It's so hard to put this list together. I think my 10 through 6 were quite easy, and my 1 to 5 was so hard.
Oh wow, I was the other way around.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I was struggling with 10 and 8 and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like I should talk more about 7, but it's difficult because now I feel like I shouldn't give anything away. But apparently, according to you, I already did. I don't think I gave anything away.
No, it's not giving anything away. But it's always kind of cool to see actors pop up that you didn't expect. Same with 1917, where I
think you said I think we talked about this as well. Who showed up? No,
I did excellently. We're like, yeah, maybe people shouldn't know. And you're right. I mean, I was like pleasantly surprised to see them.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like. Do you want me to strike this from the record?
No.
It's gonna be difficult.
We're in
to
too
edit.
deep. Yeah. Because otherwise, you're gonna repeat everything you just said. Because otherwise, it wouldn't make much sense. I think.
Yeah. No,
but yeah, I agree, and I think it's an unlikely pair up that really worked of Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. And I mean, was this before or after Fight Club? I think
Before.
It was 95. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was before.
I also looked up the trailer for this, and I gotta say, atrocious trailer. Terrible. It's got like this 90s, in a world where everything is bad. And
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman wants to get out. Brad Pitt wants to get in.
That sounds great. What are you talking about?
Terrible.
I see Gwyneth Paltrow in this too as Brad Pitt's wife.
I liked her when she was young.
And on that note, what's your number 1?
My number 1, the best thing that I've seen from the director David Fincher is Fight Club. So, I mean, Fight Club is one of those things you don't need to talk about, and I'm not making a joke right now. But Fight Club is, I think, the movie that most people have seen. It's probably the first Fincher movie that I've seen, at least consciously. Not like Panic Room that I might have seen before on TV.
Unconsciously.
Yeah, unconsciously. Took some drug.
Yeah.
No, but it's like the Fincher movie, and it's probably one of the most quoted movies out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
You don't talk about Fight Club.
Right.
It's got some great performances. I think it was my number 1 on the Norton special as well.
Yeah.
And I think my 2 on the Brad Pitt special.
What was your 1 on the Pitt special?
12 Monkeys.
All right.
Loved it. But yeah, I think it's just such a unique movie. First of all, apart from the ending and some of the reveals, but just from the fucking tone, first of all. And it's such a weird fantasy-like movie of people being so fed up with their lives to pretty much fucking founding a commune out of people who just want to smash their faces in.
Right.
And
which you almost copied. We talked about this before.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was quite refreshed at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, so Fight Club, I think, is not really a movie that you need to explain, but, you know, of course, it's about 2 people who meet
You're gonna do it anyway.
and, yeah, start a fight club to kind of be different, to kind of break out from their routines. And yeah, I think everybody has seen this movie. It's like Inception. It's like one of those classics that you can go into a bar, yell Fight Club, and everybody's going to say, oh, what a great movie. I mean, why is it on your 5? I mean, I'm always surprised that you not put 7 higher, but you put it so much higher, because I always thought that you loved Fight Club as well, since especially it's like the Fincher movie in my mind, and I think in the minds of a lot of other people.
Yes, not in my mind, but with Fight Club, it's difficult for me, or it's weird for me actually, because recently I've listened to some, I think it was a podcast too, where they talked about Fight Club and they sort of tore it to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that played a factor in it now making number 5, because they pointed out some pretty, I mean, if you dissect the movie logically, not all, a lot of things don't make any sense. They don't make any, and I know.
They're like with boss level. As long as it's entertaining, it doesn't have to make perfect sense.
I think that's an interesting comparison. I don't think so, because, and a friend of ours always says that it has to be coherent in itself. It has to make sense as a whole thing. And you watch Boss Level and you accept the fact that there's time travel in it, or that there's a looping mechanism going on. But if you watch Fight Club and you know what's going on, and you watch the reveal at the end, if you look back on it, certain things work and certain things are quite clever, but a lot of things really don't make any sense if you look back on them. So
who knows? I mean, it's so hard to talk about, once again, not to spoil it, but you don't.
I could point out a scene to you.
It could be.
I don't want to give it away now.
I mean, sure, we can go put a little spoiler thing in there.
You want to spoil that movie, but I can't talk about Spacey being in 7?
As long as we can put up a spoiler warning, I think it's fair play.
I can put a spoiler warning on 7 too. Yeah, sure. All right, there's a scene in Fight Club, spoiler warning, where they're driving in a car, and I think it's Pitt and Norton in the front, and then there's 2, I don't remember, cops in the back. So, and Pitt and Norton are interacting with each other. So they're one and the same person. What are these guys in the back seeing? One guy that just talks to himself the whole time?
Or just in his mind. Maybe he just looks straight forward and the whole conversation just takes place in his mind.
Well, that's never, though, implied.
Well, I don't know. You don't see all scenes and how they're done. Maybe.
I mean,
maybe they're just so fucking scared in that moment that they don't care. Or
there's
just
actually, yeah, I mean, yeah, they would point it out, though, I would think. But there's actually quite a smart thing where they crash, and then they get out of the opposite doors. So it was either Norton driving or Pitt driving, and then the car smashes, and then they get out of the opposite door, implying that they were the same guy, because they got out of the other one's door. You know what I mean? So there's some smart things in there too. And I can't think of all of these things that these guys pointed out to me. It just, that one stayed with me. But you make a good point. You make a good point. And obviously, I don't want to be the one who dissects these movies. And there's a suspension of disbelief, and it's a great movie. I'm not saying that it isn't, but you can, if you think about it, it can be a bit confusing and not make a lot of sense.
Sure. I mean, it's one of those things, I don't know in which context I heard this phrase, but it's an unreliable narrator. So it's hard to, with Usual Suspects, I think I heard it.
Oh, it's a great Kevin Spacey movie.
Is he in that?
Spoiler alert.
I still gotta fucking finish that movie. I don't know if I ever finished it, to be honest.
Are you making a joke?
No, Usual Suspects. No. I think I fell asleep in like the last 10 minutes.
You don't know the ending of Usual Suspect?
I know it. I knew it before I first
okay.
even saw it, because that's a movie you cannot fucking escape spoilers with. Everybody knows this. This movie came out 20 years ago. Dude, 20 years ago, I wasn't alive when I first saw this movie.
No, I know. I made the mistake of I know. I don't want to give it away now, but yeah, I made the same mistake. I knew the ending of that one too.
I think I first watched this movie when I was like 17. Come on, give me time. There's so many fucking classics.
Yeah, it's difficult to stay up to date for sure.
Yeah,
it's a lot of things to watch.
I know. I think I even know the fucking ending of Citizen Kane and so many other things, which I try to forget them.
That's not an important. I mean, it is an important plot point, but it's not. That's not going to take away from your experience of watching the movie.
I think I know. Don't tell me, just in case I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually funny because at the end of Citizen Kane, it's where Kevin Spacey shows up and slaps Orson Welles in the face. Are we done?
So what's your number one? What's the best thing that you've seen from Fincher?
So, not only the best thing I've seen from David Fincher, but
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that actually has an answer to what is your favorite movie of all time.
Definitively. Would you not like rank it maybe the same place as one of your other favorite movies?
See, you always put yourself in a position. I'm putting myself in a position that no one needs to put. I don't need to be in. You know, I don't need to say this is my favorite movie of all time. But I'm confident in saying that it is, and that could change. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to be that forever, but now and for the last couple of years, it is. It has been The Social Network, and the reason for that is not only did I, and that's going to explain my love of Fincher too. I didn't realize. I didn't focus on directors when I watched movies back in the day. Never did I seek out a movie that is directed by someone I love. I was always going by the actor. I was going to see the new Will Smith movie. You know?
I think that's a problem with a lot of people.
I don't think that's a problem.
Surprised. No, I think people then being surprised that movie wasn't as good as the other one with, Brad Pitt, but it's not always in that person's control.
Right.
I mean, as well with directors, but they have a bit more to say on what goes and what stays.
100%. But that changed for me when I realized that so many of my favorite movies were all directed by the same dude, because it was Fight Club, it was Seven, it was Gone Girl, it was The Social Network, and it turned out it turns out they were all directed by the same guy. And the thing with The Social Network too, that was even before what I meant with Gone Girl sort of tipping me over the edge of my movie loving thing. That was more like going to the cinema, seeking out movies. I was always a big movie fan, but the movie that I started rewatching religiously was The Social Network. I watched that so many times.
Right.
Way before I figured out what interests me or my favorite directors, my favorite actors. I just kept coming back to The Social Network. And I can't quite explain to you why that is. I just think that is without question for me a perfect movie. And I mean, so many people, because not a lot of people can answer the question, what's your favorite movie? But a lot of people get asked that question, even if you're not like a cinephile, as I like to say. But people ask you, what's your favorite movie? And everyone always goes like, I can't say that. I can't say that. For me, it's The Social Network. And I had a good point and I lost it there. What was I going to say? It was The Social. Right, I got it. So whenever I said The Social Network is my favorite movie, people are like, oh, that's the Facebook movie, right? So people always think about this movie that it is sort of about Facebook, which it isn't. It's about the creation of it. It doesn't have anything. You're not going to watch people interacting on social media. It's about a guy who has no friends making the most, or has sort of, he has friends, but he manages to lose them as well. But he makes the most popular and most successful site for making friends, basically, or sort of to stay in touch with your friends. And the tagline of the film is also too, like, how do you get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies or something like that? And I mean, Zuckerberg has spoken publicly about this, that he doesn't appreciate the movie as being like accurate, because he's portrayed by Jesse Eisenberg, and he's an asshole. He is an asshole. His friend, played by Andrew Garfield, sues him because he sort of almost kicked him out of the firm when he was an integral part of it. And I'm trying to sort of contain myself. I could talk about this movie very, very in depth. It's one of those rare movies that I know inside and out. That really doesn't happen in a lot of movies. But this one, I can quote along almost. So I'm trying to, give it as much time as we did with the other ones. But I don't know. How about you? When did you first see this, and what do you think about it?
The first time I became aware of this movie was, I don't know, maybe a year after release, and I just saw it as the Facebook movie as well. I was not interested in this at all. And I think at some point then I watched it and I thought it was good, it was all right. But at that point, when I saw it, I think I was more interested in a certain kind of movie, or at least not that kind of movie, because it just wasn't a topic that I was interested in. I thought the acting was good and everything, but it just didn't grab me. And I think it wasn't until I met you and we talked about it that I finally realized that it was by Fincher, the same guy who did, Fight Club, etc.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched it once or twice since then. I think the last time also like a year ago or something like that. And I really fucking enjoyed it. And I think I just paid way more attention to like the dialogue and just since I started appreciating movies more and certain things in movies that I know not every movie can do, I just liked it even more. And I had trouble putting either Seven or Social Network as my 4 and 5. And I then just thought to myself, well, Social Network is just the easier movie to watch in a way, just to kind of watch the acting and the editing, and it's so well made, it's a good story. And like you said, it's not about Facebook, it's about the guy who did it and how he did it, and it's more about that process than it is about the site itself. And that is why it is now interesting to me as a person who doesn't use Facebook,
right?
Because it could be about anything pretty much, and the story would stay the same.
Well said. And speaking of the dialogue, which you did, I mean, it's written by Aaron Sorkin, who I've raved about multiple times too. And he obviously won the Academy Award for this. Thankfully, he did. Because Fincher lost, which is the one Oscar thing that really pisses me off. Not even that he hasn't won, but that he lost, I believe.
You mean directing or Best Picture?
Both.
You off? Both, okay.
Well, I'm specifically talking about directing here. I think this is his most well-made movie. But I think he lost to Tom Hooper, who did
Easy Rider.
Speech, King's Speech.
Yeah, that sounds correct. I mean, I know he won. I don't know if it was the same year.
I am looking this up because I think it's completely
2010,
wrong.
And Social Network.
It's also 2010. Yeah, but I'm not sure if Tom Hooper won for that. He did. Yes, he did. He did. Which is ridiculous. King's Speech is a great movie, but
King's Speech is a good movie, but it's an Oscar bait movie. It's about war. It's about a personal struggle. It's got all the elements, and it's got a bit of a feel-good ending. It's
yeah. Oh man,
feel-good ending. The start of World War II.
But yeah, I mean, please don't hold on. Don't watch this movie because you feel like it's a Facebook movie. Give this a go and think of it as watching the creation and sort of as a character study of the dude who did it. I think Andrew Garfield, he plays his best friend or the one friend he has. He even goes in the movie, he goes like, you had one friend. Because he ends up suing him, obviously. That friendship deteriorates rather quickly. But I think it's one of the best performances, most underrated performances, Andrew Garfield in the Social Network, especially the confrontation towards the end. And Timberlake is even great. Who would have thought it?
I mean, there's a very cool performance by a now very controversial actor who plays the twins, Kevin Spacey.
No, but you're
Armie
right.
Hammer.
Yeah, Armie Hammer, yeah. And speaking of digital effects, that dude plays twins. And I mean, on set,
cool technique. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, they did like a facial remapping because the actor on set was actually Josh Pence. He was the poor guy who did the whole thing, but you never see his face. And Fincher Fincher actually like gave him a little scene as a gift, because there's a scene where both Zuckerberg and Savern are like in a bathroom with two girls, and then they go out while the girls are freshening up, and there's a guy walking by, and he just goes like, "Sweet," and that's Josh Pence, who plays the other Winklevoss twin. So that's a nice little fun trivia for you there.
And also, once again, Rooney Mara.
Yes, that's what I was going to say before. Yeah, that was the movie right before Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Really? When did Girl with the Dragon Tattoo come out?
Year after.
Oh, okay.
So that's where she first worked with Fincher, and that must have sort of landed her role in the next one, the big one. Yeah, I don't even know, man. Did I mention that this movie has a score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross? Which
I think apart from this episode, you already mentioned it also like 2 or 3 times when we talked about Soul. And
I did.
I don't know.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
When at some other point, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good fucking score.
It's my favorite score. It is my favorite score.
It's something that you wouldn't notice if you're not interested in either movie scores or this movie in itself. I think if you just watch this movie casually, I think you would miss it.
Maybe. I mean, it stood out to me. I don't know.
I think like scores that stand out to most people are like epic and action scores, like Inception, because that's just fucking somebody blowing a bassoon in your ear or whatever they're using.
Yeah.
I think it's fits so well with the scenes that at times, if you're not into, like I said, movies or scores in general, you could miss.
Dude, I actually listened to the soundtrack too, or the score, like just the music, and I could place every single scene. Like I knew which scene it was accompanying, basically. And the main theme, which is one of the first, I think it might be the first music you hear when Zuckerberg leaves the bar and goes back to his dorm room, the little piano music comes in. I get goosebumps whenever I hear that first sound. And the way, because it's a reoccurring theme too, and it gets like more and more distant the more he distances himself from his friends and everyone. That's not like me being pretentious. They actually like said that in the making of, which is just, I mean, it's a level above everything else I've ever heard. But it works. It's amazing, man. That score is just, it's genius to me. And that won also for best score at the Academy Awards, which I was happy to find out.
I think you mentioned this. If I'm not wrong, like I think Quentin Tarantino also said it's one of his favorite movies from the 2010s.
Yes, I believe he said that this is his number 1. I think 2 was Dunkirk.
Also, so good.
You like Dunkirk that much?
I really, not. I don't know if I would put it on the same level, but I enjoyed it very much, and especially I just did a uni exam on contemporary history, including, of course, World War II, and also Dunkirk was also a part of that uni course.
Right.
And I wonder, actually, because in that course she said, well, there's also a movie about that event that came out last year. So either she recycled her course because it was all done online from 2018, or she made a mistake with the year.
I think it's option 1. I love that. No one would have noticed that except you. Yeah. I think,
maybe another movie came. Sorry.
Yeah, I love this movie, man. And I don't think I gave Eisenberg the credit. I gave everyone else credit. Eisenberg is fantastic in it too. Everyone else.
In my mind was like, no, it's Heisenberg and so no. That's another dude. I mean, yeah, he's a good actor, and I think that's when I also saw him as a good actor, because before that I just saw him in Zombieland, which is such a different role, and now I know he can do so many fucking things, but he does so few very serious roles. I feel like Now You See Me, Adventureland, those are all more fun, light
Art of
roles.
Self-Defense.
Art of Self-Defense.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is too bad.
Right. I think he's done a couple of small indie movies where he plays like a more serious guy, but you're right. He's mainly known for the more lighthearted stuff, for sure.
Right.
I think you have to stop me. I could go on and on, but I feel like I need to shut up.
I think we're pretty good with the time. I mean, do you have any honorable mentions except Madonna's music video?
Thank you. I don't. I mean, we've talked about Mank and Alien 3, and that's basically it, right?
Yeah. I think, the only other things that I excluded were now The Game, which we talked about, which I wasn't a huge fan of. It's okay.
Yeah.
And Alien 3, which I just absolutely hate.
I didn't know you had such a hate for that movie.
Yeah, I disliked it. Not because it's such a bad movie,
Did
but...
you watch the special cut, sorry?
I'm not sure.
Because that's better. Maybe you saw the original one.
I watched pretty much all of the other movies, especially 3, etc., for Alien Covenant. Because, I know they're not connected much, but I had seen Alien and Prometheus and not the others. And I was like, dude, I love the universe. Let's rewatch all of them. I think that was around the time that I first saw Alien 3, whatever. But I was sadly so disappointed, especially after seeing 2. And it's, I think the movie in itself is not great, especially the ending. But I think the tone is just so off. It just destroys everything that was set up. And it's just so unsatisfying. I think it makes the whole franchise worse by existing. So in my mind, I'm like, after Aliens, the story ended.
Yeah, fair enough. But we said that before, but Fincher doesn't... the studio interfered with that movie so much that he even distances himself from it. He doesn't feel like it's his movie, and he hates it as much as everyone else. But
I would imagine that it was still on board, at least for the start of the movie. And that fucking start fucking kills me.
But he did... Oh, you mean the opening?
Yeah,
I don't know. I just know that he talks about this movie with such hate. And there's behind the scenes. So I don't even know if he had any... I don't know, man. I don't know.
It just reminds me of something that you compared something else to recently, which was the beginning of the Return of the Jedi, or whatever it's called, the 8th Star Wars, which is set up something so grand and then absolutely throwing it in your face.
Yes. But did you hate that too?
That's my least favorite Star Wars by far.
Oh,
probably.
Wow, that's controversial.
By far, I'm not a huge fan of Phantom Menace and the other ones.
Right.
But I think it's although, sorry, the one after was also atrocious. They were so bad now.
The last one?
Yeah.
Rise of the Skywalker?
Yeah. The ending. What was that?
I prefer Last Jedi to Rise of the Skywalker.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, we digress. Yeah. One last thing I want to say about The Social Network, just because we talked about so many trailers, it's a phenomenal trailer. If you haven't seen the movie, check out the trailer for it. It gets you right in the mood for it. And that's the last thing I'm going to say about my favorite movie of all time.
Nice. He's a great director, and I think it's somebody that most people know of, but there's so many movies that just need more love, because I think Curious Case of Benjamin Button is probably a movie that's been seen more than Social Network.
You think so?
I think it's just more...
I don't think so, man.
More for the mass. I don't know. It could be so fucking wrong right now, or at least... Yeah, I don't know.
I think the runtime scares up. I don't
Maybe.
know. I don't know. But if I was able to talk with one guy in the world for a couple of hours over a beverage of some sort, David Fincher would be very high up in my list.
Yeah, really?
100%. I don't want to say he's the one I want to choose, but he would be very much in contention. I think he's a fascinating guy, and I would love nothing more than to sit down with him and talk about his movies and talk about how he made them, and just, dude, if I was, my dream, one of those dreams that you're never going to achieve. It's not even like achieving. It's just like to be on a set of a Fincher film as just a, as a bystander, just to see him work, be an absolute delight for me. So David, if you're listening to this, and I know that you are, you're doing a new one with Michael Fassbender. I'll bring the guy who brings you coffee. I'll do it. I'll do it for free.
It's a great job, yeah.
Thank you.
But sorry, I know you're going to hate me tomorrow because I think we're pretty good with the runtime, but now that you brought it up, I got to ask, who's like in one of the first people that come up with you, got to decide who you're going to have coffee, dead or alive?
I was afraid of that question because I don't know. I don't want to say now it's going to be Fincher for sure.
Right. But I think it's an interesting question. Sorry, yeah?
Yeah. Recently I thought about the same thing with Bo Burnham. I'd love to ask that dude a couple of questions. I wouldn't put him up. But I've had this like spinning in my mind for years and years who I would choose if I was able to. I had a time in my life where I wanted to do nothing more than to have a conversation with Zach Braff. You know, it changes, you know, because I was just such a huge Scrubs fan. Then it was Will Smith.
I really don't want to have coffee with Will Smith. I think it would be weird.
You think so?
I think he's a weird guy.
Interesting. I mean, I wouldn't pick him now either, but certainly he was my favorite actor growing up.
Sure.
So right around the time when Hitch came out, he was my favorite, and I really wanted to meet that dude.
I feel
right
like
now
it
it's
would be.
David Fincher. Yeah, how about you?
I think Will Smith. I think would be kind of a shallow conversation in a way. I don't know. I don't want to dunk on him too much, but I think I would love to have a coffee or conversation with Christopher Lee, who is now, of course, passed away. I think that guy has had a fascinating life.
Yeah.
It's the most interesting life that I've ever heard about in my life.
Yeah.
Crazy what he did.
Yeah,
I mean, apparently he doesn't talk about it, but still, I think he would be so cool to talk to.
It's an interesting mind experiments if you're listening to this, and you just think of if you could choose one person to have a conversation with, who would that be and why? I mean, there's so many obviously to choose from, but you know, there were times in my life where I wanted to talk to the where that would have been maybe the crush I had at the time, you know, of the actress. But
I think that would be crushing.
How dare you? I would have charmed them all. No, but now I'm being more realistic, and now I think, you know, and because I know that wouldn't lead to anything. Now I'm just like, I really want to sit down and just have a conversation with Fincher. Man, that would be so fucking amazing. I would love it. I would love it. So, last question I'll ask you.
Please.
Where would you rank him as? Because he's my favorite director, but how about you? I know you rarely talk about, so you rarely set those like favorites. You don't want to like narrow it down.
I have some favorite directors, definitely.
You don't need to give them away, but
yeah, I think he wouldn't be in the top 5, but in the top 10 probably.
Okay, yeah, that's higher than I thought it was.
I mean, I'm sure if I'm forgetting about a lot of them, and there's so many directors that I like, but I just haven't seen enough of to make that decision. I mean, there are just few actors that I've seen pretty much all of, which are like Jarmusch and Wes Anderson and of course, Villeneuve and a couple of others. But yeah, I think Fincher is now one of the director that I've seen all movies of, and I liked nearly all of them. So yeah, he's got to be high.
I don't mean to cut you off, or I don't mean to correct you, but have you seen Incendie by Denis Villeneuve?
No, that's the one I'm missing.
I was going to say
pretty much all.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to. I was really just asking because I knew you hadn't seen it, so I was going to ask you what you thought about it now.
Yeah, I think that, and I think one other movie before that, not Polytechnique, but another one.
Maelstrom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are 2 movies that I'm still missing, and I would love to fucking see Incendies. I can't find it online, at least not in the original version.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Oh, well.
And with that note, thank you so much for listening. Gabe's already running out the door.
I'm already there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
great director.
Check out anything Fincher's done. Mm-hmm. And if you value my opinion, which you definitely don't need to, seek out his filmography and be as amazed as I am. And please, if there's one film you haven't seen yet, and I can tell you about it, that you should. It's The Social Network. It's not about Facebook. It's about much more than that, and it's an incredible movie. And that's all.
Yeah. I bet there's just so many people out there who know most of these movies, but didn't know that they were all from the same guy.
Yes.
And maybe now encouraged to check out some of the other ones.
That would be great. That's the idea of the show, to sort of recommend good things to you guys. So that's it from me. I am done. I need to take a breath now, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
Right. Let us know what you thought of this, and I'm signing out, and I'm handing the mic over to you now.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for listening to all of you. It's always a blast to have somebody listen to us. I mean, it's also a blast to talk about certain people, certain movies. And yeah, I think it's a list that you can change around a lot, and I would still agree with you because they're all so fucking good. So maybe write us what's the best thing that you've seen from David Fincher in the comments. I'm really interested, to be honest, because just so many good ones out there. Consider dropping a like, a subscribe. You can check us out on pretty much any podcast platforms, be it Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. Maybe write us at Best Thing Radio on Twitter and Instagram. And check out the thumbnail that Flo is going to make for this movie, for this episode, which is gonna contain probably 4 pictures of iconic Fincher movies. And I hope you enjoyed the intro, which we still don't know what it's gonna sound like, with some iconic, cool Fincher movie moments, or maybe even shows. And with that being said, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.